Hello and welcome to a very quick rundown explaining what the different stats in bullets per minute do. If you're like me, when you first started playing you had no clue what some of the different shrines and stat upgrades actually did for you. The game doesn't bother to tell you anything, and most of the information I'll be giving here can be found on the BPM wiki link down below. That said, we're going to try to explain them in a very simple way here. Firstly, you should know that you can press tab at any time during gameplay to see what your current stats are. Each blip inside one of these diamonds counts for 1 point towards that stat, and each stat caps at 9 points. Every time you purchase a shrine for 1 coin or pick up one of these random stat upgrades from a chest or a shop, you get 1 point towards that stat. In case you're wondering, the little yellow blips represent newly acquired stat points. There are 6 stats and some of them are straightforward, while others are not so much. Let's start with the easy ones. Damage. Damage is one of the simplest ones. Each point increases your damage by approximately 13%, which kind of puts into perspective how good of an item the Face of Death shield is, as it just outright doubles your damage. Note that different guns have different damage values and that this stat is applied after the gun's value. It's practically always a good idea to pick up the damage shrines when you come across them, since more damage just means easier fights in the long run. Range. Range is also very important for most runs, as each point in this stat increases how far away from your target you can be for the crosshair to lock onto them. Some weapons already have a high range and will benefit less from the stat, so experiment and see what works. Also, some weapons have bullet travel, like the rocket launcher and Njord's attacks for example, as opposed to the hit scan that most weapons have. The range stat will still increase the range at which projectiles lock onto the target, making it still worth picking up. Speed. Each point in speed increases your movement speed. This one pretty much explains itself. I like to get 2 to 3 points at least, not too many more, because sometimes having a lot of speed can be hard to control. In general, it's nice to have, it's not a priority stat for me though. Precision. Precision is oddly specific. Essentially, all it does is increase the damage you deal to enemies' weak spots. It can be useful for clearing rooms more quickly, but is pretty much inconsistent on most bosses, as their weak spots don't seem to always work and are pretty finicky. It's nice to have, but not something I prioritize in any way. Ability. Ability is maybe the least obvious of the stats, and for me was the one that confused me the most. When I started out, I thought that maybe this affected your dash in some way, or that it increased the damage of certain damaging abilities you unlock, or maybe even that it increased Njord's damage since it replaces clip-ups in the weapon shop when you're playing as him. No. Points in the ability stat affect your ultimate and secondary abilities. If you're new to the game and haven't unlocked any abilities, don't put any points into the stat unnecessarily, as you won't benefit from them. They also have different effects on different abilities. In some instances, it does increase damage, others it may reduce their cooldown for instance. And with certain abilities, it does nothing. Not very helpful, I know. I'm sorry. Feel free to experiment and find out for yourselves what this stat does for you. I tend to not invest in the ability stat very often, but situationally I will. Lastly, we have luck. Points in the luck stat increase your chance at being presented better and rarer items throughout your run, and also possibly increase the chance for enemies to drop coins on death. I say possibly because that's just an impression that I get from having played the game for a while, but I could be off the mark and luck may have no effect on coin drop rates. Luck also increases the number of items you'll find in the gambling rooms, which can be quite handy if you're running low on HP or keys. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it helped clear some things up. If you have questions or if something I said is incorrect, please let me know in the comments. As I mentioned at the beginning, there's a link to the BPM wiki in the description. I highly suggest you check it out for yourselves. Also, you can find links to my other BPM guides and videos. Do have a look. Like and subscribe for more BPM content, and as always, have a good one.